The latest national polling shows Vice President Kamala Harris leading former President Donald Trump in three crucial battleground states. This is from the New York Times and Siena College. And as you can see on your screen, Harris has 4-point leads in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. The poll was taken from August 5th through the 9th. Drew McCoy is with us, president of Decision Desk Headquarters, to talk more about these results and also some of the polling on the economy. How significant is this considered a shift?
Good morning. Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing shifting nationally. Vice President Harris is doing significantly better against Donald Trump than Joe Biden was doing. And then in these key battleground states, you mentioned the New York Times Siena poll from the Rust Belt states of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, but also in the Sun Belt states, Arizona, across into Georgia as well, which are key battleground states. Harris is doing significantly better across the board at the moment.
So looking at some of these polls, you've got really important critical states. To what does this is this attributed to seeing some of her gains?
Her personal favorability is significantly higher than Joe Biden's was. Joe Biden was about 15 points underwater. Kamala Harris is about equal at the moment. She actually was in positive favorability territory. This poll's bouncing around a little bit, as you can imagine, but generally, voters are taking a look at her. It's a chance to reset. A lot of the concern polling showed around Joe Biden was based on his age. And obviously, Kamala Harris is significantly younger, and that's given mostly Democrats and some independents a little bit of an enthusiasm bounce, a willingness to take a look at her, according to polling.
So we've got the DNC coming up. Before we get to that, did the VP choices on either side appear to move the needle at all for their prospective candidates?
It's a little hard to tell to pick out sort of one element in a poll, especially across all these polls, and especially in a very fast-moving environment. Certainly, we've seen Tim Walz's personal favorability polling be in the positive territory. J.D. Vance's has been equal or lower. So it's hard to necessarily attribute that to what's going on at the top of the ticket, but certainly, again, voters are taking a look at both candidates and reacting to them.
Everyone is going to be watching, you say, Montana's Senate seat when it comes to control of the Senate. Why is that, and where does that race stand right now?
Sure. Right now, the Democrats are on defense in the Senate. The map is quite challenging for them. The number of seats they have to defend. They have to defend seats in states that Donald Trump has won, states like Montana, West Virginia, Ohio, for example. So the Republicans only have to pick up 2 seats. Generally, people consider West Virginia into the GOP category there with very popular Governor Jim Justice running. Joe Manchin had retired. He would have been the best chance Democrats probably would have had, but even then it would have been challenging. So the next state you look at is something like Montana, which is obviously a very Republican state at the presidential level. John Tester, the senator there, has been an overperformer, but it's very hard to outrun the margin that Republican presidents have won at. And right now, the Republican candidate, Tim Sheehy, has actually passed Tester in polling. So if the Republicans can hold on to all their seats and win West Virginia and Montana, they'll have the majority in the Senate. So those are 2 really big races to be watching.
Interesting. Harris is seeing some great numbers on the economy right now, pulling ahead of Trump. On the border, though, her campaign has just come out with a new ad touting her toughness on the border, calling her a border state prosecutor. Drew, what does some of the polling show about her on the border and where Americans stand?
Yeah, right now, immigration and the border is a big issue, and obviously it's one that her campaign is reacting to. It's something new. Again, we're about 3 weeks into her campaign. It's all happening very quickly, and this is obviously the fact that they're feeling the need to address it is something that indicates how important it is to candidates, and they're going to have to see how voters react to it. She obviously is part of the current administration, but we'll see if her policy ideas resonate with voters going forward. But that is obviously an issue. That and the economy, the 2 issues that over the course of the last 2 years, voters have identified as the ones they're really looking at.
Yeah, an issue many have called one of her weakest, the border, that is. Drew McCoy from Decision Desk HQ, thank you. Happy Monday to you. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.